Push the button.
Oh, what am I pushing?
Hey. No, I said I pushed the button. We're
Oh,
live.
oh,
Welcome to What's the Story?
I was waiting on the
What an
intro. Look at
opener,
that.
right?
Whoa, hey.
Yeah. No intro today. Just
Oh,
welcome to What's the Story. Hey, how are
hey,
you?
I'm doing good, Jen. And yourself today?
I'm doing very well. It was our pre-shows are always kind of fun too. And we were talking about your son went through the airport. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's just open with current events, right?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, and my mom is in my house. If for those of you who don't know, I'm like a family caregiver. She gets up. I mean, she's totally capable, but she's had some challenges. And anyway, so she watches a lot of NBC News and like the cable news, right? I mean, it's tortuous stuff. And they have all these pictures of airports and stuff, but they don't name cities. And anyway, I got curious, and my son flew in for spring break from Las Vegas to Cincinnati, and he was late. I overslept, almost missed his Las Vegas flight, but went through security in like a minute. And he went through Cincinnati's airport security twice, and he said it took 10 minutes.
Wow, that is
So,
amazing.
I mean, those aren't the largest airports in the world, but they're definitely a medium class airport, and they got nothing.
Hmm,
I mean, as far as problems, slowdowns, that kind of thing. I mean, it's not
right.
Atlanta, it's not any of the New Yorks, but still, I just don't. I mean, doesn't seem to be as rampant a problem as folks are making it out to be.
And it seems just from what you're saying that maybe it's selective, right? Certain hubs are, and maybe they would have been busy, maybe not quite that busy, but busy anyway, right? I
Well,
don't know.
right, we can take another leap and go. Those are the least fun to work at, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, that
go
could
those
be too. Yeah.
right.
And they're
Those are
not
the
showing
folks that are
up. And
calling in
yeah.
sick or didn't
Yeah.
show up. I mean, where these other ones with regular volume, that may not be a bad job.
Right, right, right. Yep. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. That could very well be true. That could be true.
But seems to me
So.
like for all the job hunters out there, ICE is an open position.
And for a while they were offering bonuses, but the interesting thing about those bonuses, they don't get them right away. They have to survive a certain period of time before they get
Get
to
them.
get those
Yeah,
bonuses.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
because people were saying, "Oh, well, they're just going to come in, take the bonus and run." They can't do that. So, that's good. I'm glad there was some sensibility to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're folks doing their jobs, and anyway, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I get protesting and all stuff, but protesting laws that are like, that have been in place that are
Yeah.
fundamental. It's the it's that do what you feel. It's not any kind of logic to it.
And
And
when you go back in history and recent history, I'm talking about Obama, he did a lot of this stuff and nobody wants to talk about that
well, my
because
Bob, I was just telling you about my Bob. I was watching Fox News just for a change of pace to catch up on what was going on, and they had a clip as soon as she walked in of Hillary Clinton go at the when she was speaking in Europe, right? And she said, "My husband and my husband and Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump. We just didn't have to kill two people."
wow.
That's what she said. And so that just
Wow.
goes, I mean, the amount of folks that those guys, I mean, it's way more than double
Yeah.
what Trump has managed to get out so far.
Right. Right. Well, and he's being selective, at least it seems that the target is not everybody. The target is the worst of the criminals. And then if you're around them and you happen to be also, here illegally, you get scooped up. So that kind of is what I've been hearing.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. I don't know. When I was raised, right, I was told to respect and fear cops. And that means, right, when you get pulled over, you keep your hands on the wheel. You don't act like, even if you're digging for your
Right.
registration
License
and
and
driver's
registration.
license
Yeah.
or whatever, you wait till they get there. and you
Yes.
give, I mean, there's a certain amount of anxiety in that job and in
Oh,
policing.
yeah.
And why would you like endanger them, put them where they have to make a decision? If you
Or
do it, that's on
yourself for
you.
that
That's on
matter.
you.
Yeah, yourself.
Anyway,
My
yeah,
goodness.
that's
Yes.
anyway, that's what I was taught.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember my parents really talking to me about that at all. But I do remember because I did get my first ticket when I was 16 years old. I was going 80 miles an hour on the 405, trying to get home on time because
Trying to
otherwise I
keep
was going to
up
be
with everyone
grounded.
else.
No, I was going to be grounded.
Oh,
So I didn't make it and I got grounded anyway because I got a ticket. So either way I lost. But the point is that you get stopped and you're nervous. You're yeah, especially at 16. You don't know what to expect. You're going to do everything wrong. And so yeah, I think it's important for parents to talk to their kids about that.
yeah, it's I think Kevin Hart, I think it's Kevin Hart, does like has a thing a video that's like 10 things not to do when you're pulled over.
I'll bet it's funny.
I think you got to look that up.
I will look that up. That's sounds funny.
Yeah, it's good.
That's great. So, I wanna do just a real quick reminder to everybody to please subscribe to my Substack, and there it is. And just go to hermson.substack.com. It's the LRP network, home of What's the Story in Bookhound. I also have a separate newsletter that I put out that's my personal newsletter. And I don't know, some of you may have gotten a copy of that if you're subscribed already to What's the Story, because I cross posted it. And I won't cross post everything probably, but so, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my personal one also. And I'll be talking about the book that I'm doing on AI. And I was inspired to write a book for a number of different reasons. But it's so funny because Ed knows that when we first started talking about AI, I did nothing but say how awful it was and how it just was stupid. And I mean, I was bad.
Well, it's it's what we all do to change, certainly when it's going to like affect us.
Well, and I was using it and some of that was probably because I didn't know how to ask the question. And that's part of why, plus some of it was true. Some of it is true that in fact, AI does lie to you. AI does hallucinate. And the interesting thing that I hope will be of interest to other people is I inquired through the different AI engines and asked why that happened so that we could kind of learn what's actually going on in the background. So my book isn't like, how to use AI. I mean, everybody kind of knows already. We've been doing it for a while, but it is going to kind of inform you a little more about some of the questions you might have that you never thought to ask, and I'm asking them. So, and then it's also about publishing, copyright infringement, using AI. So it relates to publishing, marketing for entrepreneurs, because those are all the customers that I serve, entrepreneurs and writers. So I'm trying to focus a lot of it on that, but the general public will benefit from this as well. When you say thank you, does it matter to that you say thank you when you're doing AI? And I'm gonna tell you all about that.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think it's fun. I'm having a good time. I also did some freelancing in training AI, so I will give you the benefit of what I learned in training the AI bots to have a few more nuances, and I did some vocal work for that. So
That's
very
nice.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's nice. They've shown like, well, for instance, like the AI commercials, right? Best I know, whether you want an exercise plan or a Mediterranean diet menu or whatever, it can plot all those things, right? It can do all the logical
right,
stuff
right.
or plan an exercise plan. What it needs to do is send a spark out and motivate folks.
Yeah. Well, again, a lot of this is going to cover kind of how that all works. I even, and I'm literally, I guess you would call it collaborating with AI in doing this. And so I'll share in the book a little bit how I did that, how I managed to save certain things, how I had it expedite a lot of what I was doing just by telling it exactly what I wanted, like you do with the images, but this is with my actual text so that I could plot my book a little bit better. So anyway, that's sort of the crux of what that's going to be about. I'm hoping to have it released by next year, and hopefully it won't be outdated by the time I do it. It is going to be a series. I'm going to wrap it up, get things together, get it out there, and then start on the next one because there will be follow up to everything that I do. So, so there you go. That's
Awesome.
I will do a big release on the name and all of that. So
Do you have
subscribe.
a chapter on
Uh,
AI in the military?
AI in the military. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
It is, isn't it?
It
It
is.
seems they use that word a lot.
They do. Yes, that's very true. So, yeah, so that's what's going on at LaRue right now. Working on that and encouraging authors to plan ahead. You spend years and years and years writing a book, and then you want to release it in an hour, and that's not the way to go. You need to have the pre-publishing plan, the pre-publicity that you do so that you're sure that people know about your book, which is why I'm talking about mine right now. So that sorry about that. So that people will be aware that it's coming out and it will be available for pre-sales and so I want to get y'all excited about wanting to read my book.
I think it's a killer way to get into AI for those reluctant folks like me.
Yes. Well, there are a lot of people like you. Many of my family members are exactly like that. So, anyway,
I
so I'm
mean, heck,
excited about it.
Siri still doesn't understand what I say.
That's funny. Yeah, well, I got a new voice on my Siri. I don't like it. I didn't have time to play around with it. It was talking back to me, and I said, "Stop that. I don't wanna hear you."
You got like an Australian guy or something?
I had an Australian guy,
Oh,
but I don't anymore. Now it's some woman. I don't wanna listen to that woman.
yeah, I know. It can give you an edge.
Yeah, that wasn't my deal. I'm sure you'd love her voice, but,
Oh,
not for
yeah.
me. She sounded very pretty.
So,
Anyway.
those voices from old time radio.
Oh, well, you listen to that all the time now, right?
I do kind of. It's a way
Yeah.
to get a bunch of stories in. And
Yep.
they're unique. I was discussing my mom, who's an NCIS and watches those shows and every extension of them, and I'm like, I mean, to me, they're getting into it. They get depressing. They're always chasing child predators, but
Uh,
anyway, they don't always have a lot of originality and storyline.
it's true. It's true. Those things don't. But you know where they're going and you kind of are comfortable with the pattern that it takes, right?
Well, they build characters,
Yeah.
right? They build
Yeah.
characters, and you care about the characters
That's right.
more
You get to
more
know
than the
them.
story. Where in radio, it was a story, not so much the character.
Right. It's true. It's true. So I was telling Ed off air, he said, "What's going on right now?" Because he had been with his mom. And I said that Trump, according to the Epoch Times, Trump says Iran allowed 10 tankers through the Hormuz Strait as signs of good faith for the talks that they're involved in. I've
Was
heard
that
different
his
reports.
gift?
That was the gift is the
Oh,
10,
okay.
10 tankers that were able to go through, that they allowed to go through. So
Uh,
it says President Trump said on March 26th that Iran had given the United States a present in the form of several boats carrying oil. And to show they were serious and reliable, Iran had planned to send over 8, ended up sending 10. He initially thought nothing of it, but then he saw a news report stating that 8 ships were moving through the Strait of Hormuz. Speaking during a cabinet meeting, he reiterated that his administration is having very substantial talks with Tehran to resolve the conflict, and that they gifted the 10 boats of crude oil to show they were real and solid during negotiations. Because I've seen reports that said, "Oh, the United States is negotiating with themselves." That's a big headline on one of the tabs that comes up on my feed all the time. And so it all the tabs, of course, always say that Trump is terrible. So I'm used to
Well, and they
that.
have there's it's the same hype we were talking about the airports. It's going on with oil, right? Best I know, the left never cared about oil prices. They should be clapping because uh, basically people
Yeah.
drive less, right? I mean, that's California's and Nevada's thing. Um, but I remember the oil embargo when this same kind of thing happened and we didn't have the oil. We had no gas.
Yes.
We were running out at any price. And
Right.
it's inconvenient, but also listening to old time radio, those folks were on rations. Those folks couldn't have sugar because they were overworked.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's ridiculous stuff, right? People
Yeah.
now, any inconvenience is like not acceptable hardly.
Yeah. It's
It's
true.
there's total lack of commitment.
Yeah, well, this kind of plays a lot into our guest today, Tim Beard, who's going to be on with his book "Look Twice," and it's all about planning and preparing as opposed to the fear mongering that goes on out there. So hopefully you'll stay tuned in the next 15 minutes or so. He'll be on and he'll talk about he's got a series of books. Talk about being prepared. This dude did 3 books,
Well, it's one
and
of
they're
those things when you look at life that, right, if we don't fumble, if we don't fall down the stairs, get in a car accident, or get hit over the head by someone robbing us, right, we're going to live a long time, I hope.
yeah, hopefully.
And, but these incidents like this gentleman's going to talk about, you know, are things that can change that trajectory.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, look forward to that. And you and I chatted a little bit about the Supreme Court and what they're up to.
Yeah, the Supreme Court is, well, they've heard the case, I think, and are
They
just
did.
waiting to issue the decision on. It appears in an article I read that it was mail-in ballots and it's their arrival. And some states allow like 5 days after, right? Well, how can you get a count in when you don't get it right 5 days
Right.
after?
Right.
And so this case was to eliminate that kind of play. So I think the court's likely going to rule that they have to arrive by election day.
Right. That
That's
seems to
that's
be,
my interpretation of what's going on with that, with paper ballots being mailed late. It's
yeah.
it's going to have to do with they have to be there. It doesn't matter when they were stamped.
Right. And the thing is, now the post office is not stamping accurately, and they've
Right.
told us that.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on a postmark. Yeah,
Right.
unless you actually walk down to the post office, hand them the letter, and have them, do that. And there aren't very many people, me included, that will do that. I might
Yeah.
do it here
I
at my
mean, it's
shop, but postmark it myself. But yeah, I'm
well,
not
it's
doing that.
just crazy all the money and time and energy and effort for something that seems again totally common sense.
Well, and I did actually, after you and I spoke about this, and I had told you I had not read I read the article that you sent, but I had not been following it closely. So I went on and I actually listened to the whole couple hours of them interacting. I love listening to the Supreme Court, the way that everybody interacts, the jokes they make. I mean, it's not something that you think about when you think about a Supreme Court
It's all
hearing.
serious. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, no, they were, I think it was Sotomayor said to Gorsuch, "Well, I take issue with that, and I'm gonna talk to you later," and he said, "I look forward to it." They were joking, right?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was funny. And I think that that's showing they're real people, and I don't know, I found it quite entertaining. Of course, I'm kind of a geek, right?
I know they've taken a lot of grief, but I think they're trying to lead, and
Yes, that's how I felt.
and that's both sides,
Yeah,
and
I felt the same way.
I think they are
Yeah, and then the way
because I
that
mean they've I mean, they've not, they're for sure not in Trump's pocket. Otherwise, they would have
Mm-mm.
gone a multitude of ways. I mean,
Well,
anyway, they
and one of the issues that they did talk about was the fact that nobody was saying that they didn't want early voting in that particular hearing. That was not the issue at hand. Nobody was saying, not either side was saying, "Oh no, they can't early vote." They were saying, "No, but election day is election day." And that's, by that day, everything has to be in.
right,
So, but you're talking about arrival, and all these words are so important and so specific, right? What does arrival mean? There was another case that I listened to. They were talking about immigrants, and the verbiage that was used in the bill had to do with arriving versus arrival versus arrived at. I mean, this was like the whole thing about Bill Clinton and the what is, right? I I don't know. It was
well,
funny.
right.
It was funny.
There's arriving at the country. There's arriving at a port of entry. There's
Right,
arriving
right.
right in the port of entry.
Yes. Well,
Key.
and this was the same type of thing with the
Yeah.
ballots, right? When do they actually arrive? When is it when it goes to the registrar? I think it was again, I think it was I believe it was Sotomayor again that she said, "Well, I take my ballot to the ballot box, drop it in the ballot box." Is that counted? I mean, not counted. Is that voted then? Because that's not a person. That's just the box. And the answer to that, and I may not be totally accurate, but basically it was, well, yes, it is because it is um, he used a particular word and I can't remember what that was, but basically that it belongs to, or it's in the custody. It was chain of custody. And we could talk about chain of custody here in Nevada. Lack of. But he says there's a chain of custody that happens. And so, yes, it has arrived, if you will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was interesting. It was very
Well,
interesting.
I mean, to me, it's an accommodation the government gives people who can't vote
Right.
because they're out of town or in the military.
And
And
they were saying that
it's
the
an
military,
accommodation. And if you're not personally responsible enough and get your act together and get it done, well, your vote's not going to be counted. They're
right.
trying to make it so you can play even when it's difficult.
And since you bring that
It's
up,
on the person to get that done.
and I know we weren't talking about it, but since you brought up the whole thing about getting your act together, I'm insulted that the Democrats seem to think that women that have changed their names and don't have the same name on their birth certificate, on their driver's license, can't figure out how to find their documents. I have a confidential marriage license. Believe me, I know where it is. You can definitely track what happened to me. I knew I needed it. I kept it handy where I can get to it. When I need to prove my name, I can prove my name. So I'm just insulted, and I think most women would be, that it's a ridiculous argument to say that these poor women won't be able to.
Well,
Please.
they've insulted every
They
minority,
have. They've
and
insulted everybody. Yeah.
women are a majority. Even they're not a minority,
Yeah.
and
And they're
I
saying the
just don't understand.
Republicans
I
don't
don't
want women to
understand.
vote? They don't want women to vote? What are you talking about?
I think they just don't hear. They're not listening. There is such a bias in certain folks. And I had a thing with my mom. She goes, "How come you never ask my opinion on these things?" I go, "Because you hate Trump and you're biased." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, you're right." And so, right, she did.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
so, I mean, on Trump stuff, right?
Sure,
Anything
sure.
he says, she's going to hate.
There are a
It
lot of people
is.
like that.
Well,
Yeah,
right. And half of them are in Congress. And
yeah.
that is not a
And
policy.
many of them are Republicans.
I do
Don't
not
forget, they're not
see
all Democrats.
I do not see how that their constituents can, if they're paying attention, can see anything but demise for our government if they just keep on making things personal. They're racist. They're the racist folks. I mean, everything's horrible. They try to beat
Did
down
you hear
everything there is.
did
It
you hear
is, I
about
mean, it's
California?
just sad, right? I get all depressed.
Did you hear about California? They didn't
What?
have the they didn't have the debate because there were too many white people.
Oh,
The governor's debate. They
yeah.
didn't have it at
Are
that.
they?
I don't remember if it was USC, one of the universities, because they had used a formula to decide who could be in the, you know how
Crowd.
they do, yeah,
Yeah.
who could be the people that they would choose to do the debate. And they used a formula for it. This was a professor. He stood by it. He at the university. They used this formula. It turned out all of them were white, and so they said, "No, we can't have this debate because everybody's white." That doesn't even make sense. They used a
Well, best I
formula.
know, they're in search of about 16 billion. They got a significant fraud issue, and of course, you know, it's my experience the Democrats get the money and send it to their constituents and don't follow through to see if the people are benefiting from it. They don't, you know, they're the kind of people that throw money to causes and feel good about it and can sleep at night. Know what I mean? Right? Like, oh, I fixed that. I gave them $10. Anyway, it's just a sickening attitude, and it just saddens me that people have that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I had some I had some stuff. Oh, I should hang on 1 second. I don't know if sorry about that. I just had
No,
to
it's all
turn
good.
something off because I have things beeping in my ear here. So, oh, that's about my book. Anyway, looking forward to our guest and any other news
I
out there
do.
that you want to share?
So when I was a kid, and I was driving along in a car or something, and there's people, I go, well, wonder what happened if someone jumped out. What would I do?
Oh,
Right?
you
I
did
used
that
to
when you
think
were a kid.
I did. It's a paranoia.
Hmm.
Yeah, I still do it. And so, but I used to solve it. And so, anyway, I think that's where this gentleman's going with plans
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and so anyway, I'm kind of excited because, like I said, I was doing it before I knew I was doing it.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it without him being here, but yeah, I it's an interesting approach to it. And just the whole, sequence of I was starting to say he's got 3 different books. The first one's already released. The second one's coming up, I think April 2nd. I may have the dates a little bit off. And then the third one's coming out, I think the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So good planning, right? I mean, as
Yep.
an author, that was like, wow, that's awesome, right? He did his publicity, he's doing his interviews, he's got a whole bunch of them already on his website. So from a publisher standpoint, I commend him for the way that that's being approached, and he has joined us. So I'm going to go ahead and let him in a second here. Hang on. Well, hello, Mr. Beard. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm well. Is it Janice or Janice?
Janice.
Janice.
But I
Okay.
like
I had a
Janice.
friend
I
whose
do
I
like
wife
kind of
was
that.
like
named
Denise
Janice.
too. Let's
But
Yeah,
go.
I
Jeff
like
said,
Janice. I've been called that before, and I say, "Oh, that's nice. I like it."
well, it's good to meet both of you all. I appreciate you having me
Nice to
on.
meet you. Yes, very good to have you. We were just chatting a little bit about your book, and
Yeah,
just to let the audience know a little bit about you. You've retired from the CIA. You founded a global intelligence and risk mitigation consulting company and assisted clients in achieving strategic and tactical objectives in high pressure environments. And I'm
absolutely.
sure that your experience as someone who was with the CIA probably benefited them a lot.
It's been very useful.
I'm sure.
I mean, the thing was, it's a unique background between the Marine Corps and then
I was
going
going to
into the
say Marine
agency.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's been quite an interesting career. But what I'm trying to do now is I've termed this. I'm trying to capture the lessons that I learned, distill those lessons out over the past 3+ decades in order to teach mom and pop America, normal, regular, everyday people, teach them what I know. Because most folks, as I've said to numerous other people, they weren't members of the SEAL teams. There may be some listening who were, but most aren't. Most aren't former special forces. Those folks close with and destroy the enemy through fire maneuver. Mom and pop America get up every morning. They want to go home and have dinner with their loved ones. They're doing their vocation. They lead normal, regular lives. The
It's true.
stuff that I did when I was out by myself, when no one's coming to help me, that stuff is the lessons. That's what I can teach people, because it's a lot more like what they're going to face on a day-to-day basis than something that, for example, some of my former colleagues in special ops, what they know is great stuff, but that's not as applicable to daily life.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully we're not going to face that.
You never know. Times are
Right.
changing.
Oh, they are. They are. One of the things before we talk more about your book, let's
Sure.
talk about your book. But in terms of, we have a lot of people that listen that are authors themselves, and
Mhm.
as a publisher, one of the things that I push is the pre-publicity, and I noted that you have 3 books, and
Yep.
that is awesome. The first one's already been released, right? Look Twice,
All
Volume
3 are
1.
out now.
Oh, all 3 are? I thought I saw that they were gonna be
And
released
actually,
soon.
interesting data point here. Volume 3 is in survival and emergency preparedness on Amazon. It is the #1 new hot release in that subcategory. I
Wow.
had all 3 books simultaneously, which was very strange to see. All 3 of them were in the top, I think, 21 at one point. I had #4, #9 for volume 2. #1 was, or volume 1 was #4. The third one was like it got up to 21. So they were
Wow.
all simultaneously there, which that's great. But again, I'm trying to help people. Sure, I want to sell books, but I'm
Yes.
trying to help people as well. And it's been interesting.
Right. Well, obviously, you've hit a mark, or you wouldn't be doing that.
Mhm.
And, so the process itself, what prompted you? I mean, this isn't your area of expertise, writing a book, right? So what prompted you, first of all, to write the book, and then why 3 volumes in the manner that you did? Was that a
You know,
strategy? Was that just it
yeah,
just fell into that? How did that happen?
it came on my heart to help folks. And I said, I'm gonna do this, because it was never something I got up in the morning and said, I'm gonna be an author. That's what I really want to do. I wanted to be a CIA officer running around the world, and I was. So when it came time for me to write these, it came on my heart, and I just started writing the next day. And I wrote
Wow.
6 days a week, and I just didn't stop. And I wrote what ended up being 642 pages in the print versions, 6x9 trade paperback, all 3 volumes. And when I started looking around for publishers and all, they said, hey, this is like The Sum of All Fears by Tom Clancy. It's super long. You got to divide it into 3 pieces. And I did. And I think it's good, because when you look at the book structure, Look Twice, the mindset of Look Twice, that's the first part, the first chapter of volume 1. It's about 30 pages in the print version. Exactly. And so that's that first one. Then I apply everything over 15 chapters. So let's talk about the mindset, all those lessons I learned, and now let's apply it to a bunch of different things that just regular everyday folks are going to face. What about your house? What about your workplace? What about going out in town, going to the ATM, going to the gas station, not having your car jacked? What about when you want to go for a run or hang out in a park? That was all pretty normal stuff. I talk about driving cars a little bit. Little things a lot of folks don't know, like you see somebody with their hands at the top of the steering wheel together like that, that's a bad sign because frankly, they don't know what they're doing. If your hands are together, you cannot control the steering wheel if you have to navigate quickly. And I'll use this word, aim your vehicle away from trouble. You want to have your hands at 4 and 8, worst case 2 and 10. If they're together at the top, you cannot maneuver. The other thing, if the airbag goes off, you're probably going to break your wrists. People don't think about that stuff. So
That's
when you see
true.
that, be wary.
The biggest challenge and fun stuff with yours is like coaching, right? It's imprinting the subconscious. You can't think about it or you're too late.
Right. You got to get muscle memory. And this
Yep.
is a big thing in the books, is the planning and preparation about mitigating risk. You want to plan and prepare ahead of time. That's critical. But the second volume, in that one, I delve into There you are. I delve into technology. I call it Safe Tech in part one. And that I have some basic stuff I cover: mobile devices, tablets, phones. I talk about VPNs, virtual private networks, something folks should use to protect their data through an encrypted tunnel. I talk about computers. I talk about commercial messaging applications. I also get a little crazier on that, and I talk about encryption like mounted virtual drives and some tougher stuff in there. And if you've looked through the book, you'll see what I term the sledgehammer method for disposing of your devices. Because once they've been used, there's only one way to ensure they're ever completely clear. It involves safety glasses and a large sledgehammer. But I detail that in the book. Then from there, the next
I was
part,
right on one thing.
well, the next part's about fraud, because fraud and safe tech go hand in hand. And I'll just give a teaser on this for your audience. People have heard of the big three: TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, for the credit reporting agencies. Most folks don't realize there's a fourth one called Innovis. They collect data on you too. And you can put a freeze on that one. You should at least see what they got on you. And another one that's a little bit different, oftentimes used by the government, by businesses, law firms, LexisNexis Risk Solutions. They got a whole bunch of stuff on you as well. It's worth looking into that and putting credit freezes on your credit reports so no one can open a line of credit. I go into some things about that and how you can really prevent fraud or help yourself out by protecting your information. And then from there, I talk about business travel. I talk about vacation travel. I talk about learning a new city. Say, for example, I got dropped off in Reno, Nevada. Not a place I spend a lot of time. 300,000 folks who live there know a lot more about it than I do, but I can learn it very quickly based on my background and the stuff I've learned. And I present a lot of those ideas and techniques in that book. So you're going to go on vacation to pick your favorite city. You want to go to Bangkok, Thailand for and see something totally different. Interesting city. Some parts you want to be careful on. Well, this is how you learn what you got to do. And I talk about natural disasters. Finally, the third volume, I cover civil unrest in the first part. It's got the guy running across the fire on the front.
Yeah. That's a nice.
And that
cover.
one, I cover a basic planning process. And when I say civil unrest, it's not participating in civil unrest. It's getting your loved ones out of harm's way. You plan and prepare ahead of time. Where are you going to go? How are you going to get there? What's your transportation plan? What are you going to carry? What do you need to know? When you're looking at choke points, which are like bridges across a big river, there's only one way to get across. Who are you traveling with? Do you have an 80-year-old grandmother who has a walker? That affects your transportation plan, and it affects you swimming across that raging river. You're probably going to have to go across the bridge. It covers a lot of stuff in there. Then I have a very serious chapter on self-defense. I talk about firearms because that's the only way you're going to equalize between a 5'1", 110-pound female and somebody the size of Hulk Hogan who's intent on causing you harm as an adversary. The only thing that levels that is firearms and training with the firearms. I don't teach people how to shoot, but I teach them where to get the training, which is absolutely critical if you're going to rely on a firearm in a lethal threat scenario, and you're going to save your life and those are your loved ones. You got to have training. I talk about some other things that people can do as well, other weapons, things to consider. Then I talk about a little bit about medical, because if you don't come armed with medical knowledge and something happens, you get a cut, you fall down, you hurt yourself, somebody gets hit on the head. If you don't have that training in advance, bad day. It's a lot of times
Very bad.
you're on your own. A lot of times it takes a while. Somebody can bleed out before the EMTs, who are fantastic, before they have the chance to get there, especially in a civil unrest scenario where the arteries of the city are locked down. And then finally, I cover a huge piece on overseas travel and living, something I have a lot of experience in, because a lot of folks don't think much about when you leave a sovereign country like the United States and go to another sovereign country, You're not in Kansas anymore. It's a different beast.
True. Very true. So you've covered a whole lot with these 3 volumes. Almost
642 pages.
yes,
This is like a
exactly.
pop quiz for me here.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kind of focus a little bit on the first book because of the fact
Sure.
that, from what I've read so far, you're kind of saying, this is really gives you the premise of how you think about all the different things in book 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So good if you can read book 1, kind of get the idea of that. You've got checklists in there. So can you just give some examples? One of the things that I noticed was it depends. I love that because
Yeah.
in life, it depends, right? You ask for a solution to something so many times, it depends. So talk
It,
a little bit about that.
especially my background in the Central Intelligence Agency, I was in the director of operations. So CIA is a big place. You have the analysts, you have science and technology people, different areas. The director of operations is where they do the spying. That's the operations piece. That's a huge phrase that we use. It depends, because it does. When you're in a situation, you have to evaluate what you're looking at, and you got to be serious with yourself, because I use in the book, if it looks like a pear, smells like a pear, tastes like a pear, it's probably a pear. You can try to navigate mentally and think a whole bunch of strange things and justify stuff and all. Hey, it's my life and I've got one. I don't have 9. So I need to look at what the situation is right now. I need to be serious about it. Bad news doesn't get better with age. I got to figure out what to do. And there is you can't solve everything with one solution, because it depends. You have to use the intellect that the good Lord gave you. That's what you got to do. So in the look twice mindset, I'll give a couple examples straight up. It's about mitigating risk. It's about planning ahead, planning and preparation, because by the time something's happening, you're pretty late in the game. So you want to mitigate risk I use one phrase, avoid, avoid, avoid. People are like, why do you say that 3 times? Because it really matters. Your job is to avoid, avoid, avoid. How do you do that? 1, being aware and being in the moment. Your cell phone. You walk down the street, you're exposed to a potential adversary, somebody who may want to cause you harm, who doesn't have your best interest at heart. That phrase I use throughout all 3 volumes together. So potential adversary. If you're staring at your cell phone, you've given up all your situational awareness around you. Somebody can walk right up to you and push you over, steal your handbag, trip you, do a whole bunch of things you don't want to have happen, or worse. People are wearing earbuds, they're wearing headphones, and you see this all the time on the street. I challenge folks to engage in a contact football game, hockey, there's one for you, or basketball. Put your headphones on, stare at your phone, and see how long that works out well for you. Not very long. So put those away. If you want to use your headphones, your earbuds, your phone, go into a coffee shop. Go into a grocery store where there's a lot of people and put your back to the wall, so you only have to worry about 180 degrees in front of you from left to right. No one's going to sneak up behind you. Go into a hospital, a place where I call it a hard point. It's a place where you are physically separated from a potential adversary. They're far less likely to do something to you. You can use your phone to your heart's content. Just don't become absorbed in it while you're walking down the street. Some of the audience may say, well, that's really simple stuff. Good security is practicing the fundamentals, the basics correctly every time. It's being in the moment, it's being aware, and it's planning and preparing. If you do that stuff, you've just gone from being a soft target to a much harder target. An adversary will probably pass by and go to an easier person. You've increased your target hardness, if you will, very quickly, substantially. I'll give one more tip here. Baseline. You should have a baseline for what is normal and what is not around your workplace, around your home, of course, around where you go to school, around your house of worship, around shopping malls, strip malls, parks, places you play, wherever you spend your time, you want to have a baseline for what's normal and what's not. And that just comes from being familiar with it, observing, building some history in that location, and paying attention, being in the moment. So if you develop a baseline and all of a sudden something starts to deviate from that baseline, that warrants further investigation. If it gets too weird, it's time to go right now. We're going to mitigate risk and we're going to leave right now. I'm going back to a hard point, whether that's home. Hey, I'm at work. Something weird's going on downstairs. I'm going to leave. I'm going down the street to the coffee shop. And if I start hearing something going on, I'm calling for help, but I'm going to be in a safe place. Think the oxygen mask on the plane that falls. Put yours on first before you help other people.
Right, exactly.
But help other people too. You want to do that, but you gotta, if you're in the fight, which you don't want to be, and you're engaging, you can't help anybody else. You got to survive.
One of the other things that I noted in there, a couple of them. One I wanted to have you talk about, because we're in Reno, you got to talk about gamble versus risk. So tell us all about that.
So a gamble, intelligence officers, we don't take gambles. A gamble is basically an existential threat. The bets are so high that if you lose that bet, it's game over. In the cases we're talking in security, that could be an existential threat where you die, or the unthinkable, or where you are severely hurt or one of your loved ones is. It's something where you may not be in the fight again the next day. It's too big of a risk. It's not worth it. And so we don't take gambles. We take calculated risks where we say, and when I'm saying we, I'm talking about like the U.S. intelligence community and also the military. A commander in the military will assume risk. They'll identify where there is some risk and they'll say, all right, I understand that risk is there. We've weighed out the pluses and minuses. I believe that's a risk I'm willing to take, but it's not a gamble. You're still going to be able to fight. You may be damaged, but you're still going to be able to fight. Well, in this context, if you got to get home, it is a gamble if you're alone and there have been, the baseline, that trail through the dark woods. There are some bad folks that spend time on that trail and people have been beaten up or raped or have had other problems on that trail at night. You know that. You know the baseline. You've read the newspapers. If I walk down that trail alone, unarmed at night, that's a gamble. Why am I doing that? I'm going to mitigate risk I'm going to go a longer way. I'm going to take another route. I will add 15 minutes to my walk and go a much safer way. And that's how I'm going to mitigate risk. Now, if there isn't the history of that trail and there's some lights down there and the trail's not that long and there hasn't been any problems, so maybe my baseline, it's not too bad down there. It's going to save me. There's a storm coming, a sandstorm, to use Reno. I used to live in the desert in 29 Palms, California, in the Mojave Desert as a Marine. So if you have a sandstorm coming in, I need to get home. I'm going to take the risk to walk down that short trail because I need to get home quicker and I don't think it's going to be a problem. That's gamble versus a risk. Don't take gambles. It doesn't work out well.
Doesn't work out well here either. Right? Don't go to the casinos. They wouldn't like me to say that.
At 29 Palms, I used to tell my Marines before they go off on, an extended pass on Liberty. My first sergeant and I, when I was a company commander, we'd be like, just remember, Las Vegas wasn't built by winners. So
That's true.
Just keep that in mind.
Very true. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I was going to say a lot of mindset, right? I mean, there's a lot of folks that leave their house and go to the store and don't think there's any risk. I mean, they're naive.
And that's something a lot of Americans, when you go overseas and you look back at Americans, a lot of folks around the world, there's two things when you say I'm an American that they think of when you're overseas. One, you're kind of loud and maybe obnoxious. Not always true, but true too often. We're louder than a lot of other people groups. But the other one is that a lot of times folks are naive. But when Americans learn and pay attention, they quickly learn what is good and bad to do. they adjust their behaviors very quickly and they're on their game. It doesn't take very long. But when they first go into an environment, sometimes they're kind of naive. As a people group, we all are. That's
Right.
kind of an American trait as viewed from overseas.
Very true. So, tell folks where they can find your book. I'm going to put that up on the screen too.
Sure.
So, go ahead.
timbeardauthor.com. So my last name spelled Beard, Beard, timbeardauthor.com. If you go there, there's a bunch of information on there. You'll see information about all 3 books, and there's a link you can click on, which will take you to my Amazon Author Central page, where the books are available in paperback, also in ebook version, and also in audio version. They're available on Barnes & Noble as well, and Apple and some other places.
Perfect. All right. So make sure that you go to timbeardauthor.com and check that out. I got that there. There you go. So we do appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. My goodness, 3 books. That's a lot of writing. A lot of writing.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come on, trying to help people, and I'm really glad to be able to speak to your audience. Thanks for the chance.
All right. Thank you.
Bye now.
See you next time.
Take care.
All right. Wow. That is a lot of information.
That stuff, well, back, I guess, when I was a kid, there wasn't any kind of the electronic stuff. But I don't know why, but I used to worry about my physical person. You know,
Yeah.
like we were saying,
Yeah,
like, hey,
no, I
what
know.
happens here? What
Yeah.
happens there? I don't know where I got that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, he was talking about, you were talking about how naive we can be. And he was saying that that's what people think of us. And, we live a very privileged life in a lot of ways, right? Even if we don't have everything we might want to have, we got a lot and we're pretty safe for the most part. I mean,
Well, right.
only recently. Go
Check your
ahead.
biggest challenge, right? What's
Yeah.
your biggest challenge? If it's like getting the salt shaker top off,
Yeah.
right? You're not that bad,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? You're
I
not that,
mean,
or you got to
yeah,
fix
you're
the
not
tire.
looking for your next morsel of food, right? I mean,
Correct. That's
and you're
right.
not worried about a bomb dropping next to you. So,
Right.
although we do have our challenges and things have not been as safe as they used to be, we're pretty fortunate
So
in our safety, right?
I'm going to question that, and I think that's one of the things she's doing. So, let's go back to cars without seatbelts and all,
Right.
tractors and all that kind of stuff, and airplanes and smoking on airplanes. And I think that we're way safer, like, than we've ever been. But were we really ever safe? We just thought we were.
Right. Well, that could very well be true. You could be right about that. But again, maybe now we're just more aware of the threats,
I
right?
think that's true.
Yeah. So more educated, more aware. And so, there you go. So be sure to go to timbeardauthor.com and check out his books. Get 1, get 3, get 2, just get some. Whatever, you can use it as a reference book, it looks like to me. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I was going to say they should be pocketed, like pockets to fit
Yeah.
like glove boxes.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot of information there. I don't think you're putting them in your pocket.
but his 3-book thing, right? That's so his book was so big that he had 3 books and he had a
Yep,
marketing campaign,
he
right?
did.
It kind of his
It's
his
true.
publisher his publisher
Yeah.
gave him that.
That's right. It's excellent and it's a great technique and it's the way that authors need to think. So, yeah, I'm glad he came on. And Ed, it's always good to see you. I'm sorry we have to end this, but we're gonna have to close the show and say goodbye till the next time.
Well, I always enjoy it, Jan, and it's always fascinating when you have such interesting guests.
Yeah, we got another one coming up. I'll tell you about off air.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Rock your day.